What is up, everybody? Michelle Ann here. So I'm just making some notes as I'm going over my backstory, and headed to bed early tonight, and I said I gotta get on here and do my post and talk. So I want to talk about getting diagnosed with something, because that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't talk about, and it can really rock your world in many ways. um, so when or if you first get diagnosed with something, there's a series of things that happened. And what happened to me was the very first thing was shock. I think I told you all yesterday that I remember I was sitting in the neurologist's office, and we had just gone through the neurological exam, and he had had all of his testing done, like, the MRI and the lumbar puncture and all these other wonderful tests that he had, and he had just performed the neurological exam. And I remember him telling me, like, he put out this sheet of paper in front of me with the drugs on it, telling me that I had to decide which one of these drugs to take. And at that point, all I could really hear was, and I don't know if you remember the Charlie Brown cartoons where the teacher would talk and you would just hear this wah, 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 right? Like, I didn't understand a word he was saying. I couldn't hear a thing. It was just like, what did you say? What did you say? What did you say? It just kept repeating over and over in my head. So finally I got it out loud, and I'm like, excuse me, I don't mean to, interrupt, but are you telling me that I have multiple sclerosis? And he stops and just looks me dead in the eyes and says, yes. And then he continues to carry on, and once again it went back to wah, 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 right? And so I barely remember leaving there, and I just kind of walked out to my car, and I sat in there, and I just screamed. And I screamed and I screamed, and it was no high pitch. It was just, like I just had to let it out. Like, because now all of a sudden, this whole future that I had planned for myself, all my years in college and all my studying and climbing the corporate ladder and the hours and hours of work that I had put into building what I thought was my life, it just all came crashing down. And even the prospect of having children all of a sudden is taken away from you, because I wasn't going to bring a child into the world so that it would have to look after me. And at that time, that's kind of what they were telling me would happen, that if I were to have a child, oh yeah, you might have a wonderful pregnancy, but look out afterwards. That's when you're gonna, have a great big crash, and then God only knows what, right? You're just gonna speed up your line up to the wheelchair, right? So you're just, you're just left in such the shock, And then as time goes on, you're realizing that, you don't feel like it's the end of the world after a couple of days. So you kind of start to go into denial. You're like, yeah, it's not that big a deal. They're just saying this, they just want to prepare you for blah, blah, blah. You'll be fine, right? So you continue to go on as if nothing happened. And you go on, and you go on, and you think you're doing good. And anytime you notice a little something, you just, chalk it up to, you find an excuse to neglect what you know is happening. And then people start noticing that you're not performing as well as you were. And they start trying to help you. I mean, God bless them. They're trying to help you because they recognize your struggle. But at the same time, you've just been diagnosed with this incredible struggle, and you're just realizing, like, oh shit, man. Like, I'm struggling and I need help, and people notice and they're offering to help me, and it's scary because now all of a sudden it's getting real, So you don't mean to, but you're like, no, I'm fine and I'm functioning, and leave me alone. I'm fine. I'm fine, you know? So this whole struggle breaks up, you know? And then you have the meltdown. Because all of a sudden, everything you've been working for, everything you had planned since you were a little girl, all your dreams through college, and you're climbing the corporate ladder successfully. I mean, they loved me and I loved them. It was awesome, you know? And it's just like that. It's gone. Now what? Now what? Now they're telling me, get ready for a life of pain. Get ready for a life of immobility. Get ready to be in a wheelchair by the time you're 30. I'm 43 now, by the way. Proud of that. So you're told to prepare for like this horrible future that you never planned on, let alone asked for, you know, and it sucks. It really sucks, and it's hard to get through. So that's actually when I found the epiphany came to me, where I realized that I could not control what was happening to me. However, I could take responsibility for how I chose to react. And that was actually my first choice, was to stop reacting. I noticed that the reacting was causing me to go into a state of resistance. So I wasn't able to focus on the task at hand because I was so worried about the future and what was going to happen 10 years from now, 2 days from now, you know? I mean, who knew? But what I decided, and I really found worked, was I was given directions by these people who are supposed to know what they're talking about, right? So they're the ones who went to university for 10 years to learn how to treat these issues as they come up. So humble up, do what you're told, follow directions, and just do one day at a time, because that's the only thing you can do. So you take your medication and you stop fighting. The fighting and the resistance to what is actually causes what is to get worse, because all your energy is focusing on the problem when really your solution is to focus on what's going right. Like, I was very lucky. The company that I worked for, like, my Blue Cross benefits covered my drugs for me. I was well taken care of. If I had needed private home care nursing, they were willing to send it over. They treated me so well. They were awesome. You know, they tried to accommodate me right up to the very, very last moment, and before my doctors put me off. They did everything. Like, literally, like, I was in this like brain fog where like I could hardly string a sentence together, but they still tried to find a place to keep me. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is like, it was almost embarrassing by the end. But God loved them. They kept the benefits. I got my benefits, and I got put on the long-term disability pension, which really, you know, is not a whole lot. It's about poverty level, but hey, man, when you consider the drugs and everything else, it's awesome, you know, that I had that. Like, I'm so blessed and fortunate for that. So when I realized that I could count my blessings and then take care of myself with the tools that I was given, it made things a lot easier. And I was finally able to get to the place where I realized that I could heal myself. And I would never have been able to do that had I not realized the power that I have by choosing to react in certain ways. Because I can't control the situations, but I can take responsibility for my actions. And my actions helped me get to a place where I was able to see the road to energy healing, which I studied and promote. I love it. I do theta healing, radically awakened master. I'm a Reiki master. I just love energy. Everything is made of energy. Like this pen. This pen is a bunch of atoms vibrating at a frequency of a pen. It's energy. It's awesome. So being able to heal myself and get to the point where I am today. And I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't have days where if I want to sleep, I sleep. I honor that. I don't fight anything anymore. And yeah, so what I kind of realized in my topic of this whole thing is when push comes to shove, lay down. That's it. When push comes to shove, lay down. There's no resistance. There's nothing to push. There's nothing to pull. You're just going to be and allow. Because when you know that the universe is always working out for you, you can just allow the cork to float, like Abraham Hicks says, right? We're like corks. We always float unless we get our thumb pushing it under the water. But when you take that resistance, which is the thumb on the cork, when you take that off, the cork naturally floats. So that's how it works. So when push comes to shove, lay down. Get out of your way. That's what stopping the resistance is all about. Because when you stop the resistance, you're stopping that momentum going in that wrong direction. You can breathe, reground, regroup, and just allow things to work out for you. Get out of your head, get into your heart. Your heart will lead you everywhere you want to be. So that's my post for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to share it if you like, and please be sure to like my page. Thank you so much. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Mwah. Bye-bye.